The difference between music, you're using your psychic abilities versus your mediumship, and if you can separate those. I have been doing this kind of work for the last 17 years. Although I was born with the ability to connect with spirit in a stronger way, all of you have the ability to do what I do. You're just going to do it to different degrees. All of you have a sense of hearing, a sense of seeing, feeling, touching. All of that. All of those elements are within yourself. The only thing I do is use them in a stronger, higher way, and all of you can develop. You have the ability to tune in to those that have crossed over. You have intuition, and you can take all of that to a higher level. It's like anything else. If you practice writing, you become a good writer. If you practice basketball, you can throw a hoop. You can do whatever it is that you practice, you will get better at. Now, this kind of thing did run in my family, or it does run in my family on my mom's side. My grandfather's an Apache, and my mom's Spanish, and then my dad's German. So I've got a mixture of different cultures, but I find that a lot of the things that work for me and that I've kind of steered towards are practices that have to do with my grandfather, and he's Apache, and that part I use in areas that have to do with protection. So I use sage, for blessing or clearing my space before I make a connection with spirit. Now, think about this. People will cross over. When you cross over, all you do is leave your body. Now, the body just lays there. How many of you have seen someone cross over or seen a body there without life in it? And, okay, I want you to look at each other. Just turn and look at your neighbor. And I want you to notice the color in your neighbor, and that there's energy there. Now, when you see someone that's crossed over, their color changes. And the color change is that spirit has left, so you're not seeing the color anymore. So it's not that you're looking at a color, you're actually looking at that spirit shining through the skin. So when you're seeing that pinky color in each other, you're actually able to see the spirit. It's not like you have to gaze into somebody's eyes to see their spirit. You're emitting that out. And that's why you have that pinky shade. And then when that loved one steps out of the body kind of looks, it changes colors. It doesn't have that, it may look a little gray, or someone that's been sick, they start to lose their color because their spirit is kind of shrinking down in there. But that's what all of that is. It's not that you have to gaze in your eyes over their soul, and that's where they are. Now, and you have the ability to hear, and you have the ability to see, and all of these different things. Now, all I do is take it to a higher level. I hear spirit, and I feel them. I can take their characteristics on, and I'm not trying to take their characteristics on when I make a connection. It's just that when you're making a connection with spirit, and you get yourself out of the way, or your loved ones, and you are a spirit making a connection with you. When I tap into people here on the physical, what I do, I just create this line of energy. I jump into that, and then I can also take on their personality, because all I'm doing is getting myself out of the way, and then I'm just saying what it is I'm hearing. So, but I do have a different technique that I use to connect with those that have left their body versus someone that's here on the physical. And I use different techniques so that I can tell the difference. as to if they're residing in a body, or they have they're still here, but they're vibrating at a different vibration. Okay, and you're not okay. I've got on my sign. It says psychic medium, because all of your intuition, you use your intuition, and that has to do with your psychic. So it's like gut feeling. Like, I just know that I'm not supposed to go that way, or I just know that this is going to work, or you just have a knowing. That is your intuition. Or, you know how you go to a psychic or a tarot card reader, they'll use the cards for a catalyst, and they'll kind of tell you what it is that they've learned from those cards. But actually, when they get to be a really good reader, what they're doing is they're using their intuition. And now they're not connecting with spirit. When they connect with a human spirit, not a human spirit, but a spirit or a person, then they're going and using their mediumship. So you can, but when you're a psychic only, all you're doing is using your gut feeling, what you feel, but it's not tuning into to an actual someone in spirit. So you can be a psychic, but when you're a medium, you are actually a psychic medium, because you don't turn the psychic part off, okay? And also, there are psychics that sometimes think they're a medium, because let's say that you lost somebody. Let's say this lady lost somebody, and I'm a psychic, okay? And then I start telling her, oh, well, I see your grandfather around you, and I see a tractor, and she's like, oh yes, that's my grandfather, and he crossed over, and he did plow, and he lived in the farm, and so then I'm telling her, well, he grew some green beans, but he liked corn better, and so, oh yes, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I tuned into your grandfather. I've not tuned into her grandfather. All I've done is psychically, I have read what's impressed on her, because she's carrying all that. So I'm just psychically picking up all of this stuff that is about her. Now, if I am connecting with her grandfather, then at that point, I'm just like a middle person, and I'm hearing voices or feeling or whatever. And so I just like let him talk to me, and I repeat. And he talks to me, and I repeat, and he talks to me, and I repeat. Now, what I'll do, I'll start talking in the first person, because I say he said, and when I said he said, I'm thinking. And if I'm just saying what he's saying, I'm not telling you he said. So you don't want to think when you're doing this kind of work. You wanna just say what you're hearing. So it's a good idea to get a recorder or something and record it. That way you can go back and listen to what it is that you heard. Because a lot of it, if you do it right, when you remember is when you think, okay? Because it impresses you on your mind, and you hold on to it. So it's a good idea to go ahead and record what's coming through. That way if you want to listen to it, or that somebody says, well, you said this, and you can say, well, I'm not sure about that, and you can go back and listen. Yes?
I think I've had an experience like what you're saying, but I feel a physical sensation like between my ears, like it almost gets like hollow. So that it's hollow, so that it's going through this ear and out this one, and it's just like out my mouth. I don't know. But it's because I'm emptying out my thoughts. It feels physically like my sinuses open up and kind of get wider, and I can feel pressure in my head. But I hear the voice, and the voice comes in this, and then I just simply let it out.
When whatever it is that's happening to you, like her, she says she hears. Whatever it is that's happening to you, do that. And until you're not actually analyzing how it's happening, because some of you are going to hear.
Yeah, I analyze after the fact.
And then some of you are going to feel. You're not going to hear. You're going to feel. Some of you are going to see visions. And it'll be like, some of you are just going to see colors. Some of you are going to see a movie in your head. But whatever it is that you're doing, remember, you can see, you can smell, you can hear, and all of these things. So all of those different things are going to go to a higher vibration. You're going to do it better than you're doing it. So whatever it is that you're doing, don't diss it and say, yeah, but I didn't want to hear. I want to see the visions. Or I didn't want to be feeling spirit and felt like I'm being touched. I wanted to hear. Or, instead, embrace that, learn it, and keep doing it, because the next thing is going to come. So if you're seeing, you're going to feel. And if you're feeling, you're going to hear. And so then as you go along, you get better and better at using the senses that you already have, but they'll be developed in a higher way. Now, spirit is also going to do for you whatever they need to do, okay? I was doing a phone reading for this lady, and she was in a situation to where she had, her brother was being accused of murder. And she says, Vickie, I need to know if my brother really killed my uncle. And I said, you know what, I can't do it right now, I'm at dinner, but I'll call you after. So around 8 o'clock I called her, and I tuned in, and I was like, no, your brother did not kill your uncle. I see 3 men that did this. And I said, I see him in a hotel room. And she says, yeah, he's in a hotel room, and my mom's out there to go get him. And I said, well, he's in a fetal position in the corner of the room. And so I was actually seeing him where he was. And I was on the phone in Reno, Nevada. She's on the phone in San Jose. So we're on the phone, and this is happening in Mexico. And I was actually seeing him in the room, and I said, you know what, your brother just got up, and he's leaving the room. And she says, oh, no, you're making a mistake. He's not leaving the room. I said, yeah, I just saw him he got up, and he's gone out the door, and he doesn't have a shirt on. And so she calls the hotel, and I said, you know what, you're still in the reading. I said, you want to hang up, and we'll do this another time? Oh, no. So she calls, and she puts him on a speaker. And she calls the hotel, and she says, I want you to go check and see if my brother's in his room. And so they go up there, and they say, nope, he's gone. And I said, he's outside, he's calling. And so her phone, and I said, you need to hang up the phone with the hotel because he's calling. So she hangs up, sure enough, the phone rings, and he's outside. And then I said, don't tell him not to go back up to the room, because it's the police is out there, and they're going to apprehend him for something that he didn't do, and he's going to be used as an example. Yeah, they're going to give him, and he didn't do anything. And so, well, he didn't commit the murder. So he gets on the phone with her, and she's like, he's calling me, and she answers the phone. So she's validating the whole thing as so I was doing remote viewing. I was seeing what was going on in Mexico. So then I said, don't let him go back up to the room, because at this point it's swarmed with police. And sure enough, he gets on the phone. I need to go back to the room because I don't have my shirt. And she keeps telling him, no, don't go up. Vickie said not to go to the room. And he's like, I need to go to the room. I don't have a shirt. And finally she put her foot down. I heard some cussing, and he didn't go. So then he waits there around the corner, and I see the mother coming up in a taxi. So I tell him that, mom's coming. I see a car, and she's coming. And so just wait, and he's on the phone, and she says, wait, and then when I saw the car come up far enough, I said, okay, now tell him to go across and go over to the car. And he says, the car's here, and so that he goes on. And he was also to address her as aunt instead of mom. And then after that, I said to him, not to her, I said, your mom is going to be smuggling him to the United States. And she says, oh, no, Vickie, you need to look. She says, it's 3 men. She's going to go to this town, and 3 men are going to bring my brother over. I said, no, I see women. She says, no, it's men. I said, no, I see women. And then I said, okay, well, I got to go. And then about 2 days later, I had an expo in San Jose. And this young man comes and sits down, and it's him. And his mom did bring him over. But after I had gotten off the phone, I felt like I've been running the streets of Mexico. I was exhausted. But it felt like a real experience. And Spirit just did that because I needed to I needed to help that person, and that's how I was able to help all of them. And not only was I helping the sister and the brother and the mother, but I also was helping the uncle that got shot and was murdered, and that the nephew did not have anything to do with as far as killing him. So Spirit will do whatever they have to do in order to help you. And there's been other situations that I've been in that I had to, that I actually was seeing the people and helping them out and bringing them together and so that things would go right for them. So Spirit is going to do whatever they need to do, whether you know how to do it or not. So just be open. You know, if you're hearing, good. If you're seeing, that's good. If you're, whatever it is that you're doing, just develop that, and the rest of your skills will come. And there's nothing different about anyone except that you practice it and that you tune into it and that you're putting more energy and effort into it. You can all learn to do this. Okay? It takes time. I've been doing it for years. I am a certified medium through the NSAC. There's some lessons that I took, and it took me about a lesson a month. And because I also have a family, and I do readings every day, and I do expos, and I have another business, and so there's a lot that I do. So I'm able to do. I was doing one lesson a month, and there are 30 lessons. So that's 30 months. Plus, I had to go in front of a congregation, and the congregation did not know what was going on. But I gave messages, and a message is just a quick 2-minute, like 2 minutes for you. I give you a little short reading, a little 2-minute here, 2-minute there, 2-minute there. Just take a bunch of people and just do like a couple of minutes each one. And then afterwards, they went to these people and they asked them if they knew who came through. Was I right on the message, and was the message meaningful? So after they talked to all those people and they said yes, 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 then that was part of my testing. Then I also had to get 9 affidavits to where I had given people readings and that they signed off and that I made a good connection for them, and I had to get those notarized. And then they took me in and they tested me in a written test that took about 4 hours. I mean, just pages and pages and pages, so that I know all the lingo, like what a clairvoyant, clairsentient, airport, and the different transfiguration, the meanings of all those things. And then after that, they gave me a verbal test, and then they said, okay, now you're certified. So it wasn't just something that you do quickly. I am an ordained minister, and I was a pastor of the church in Auburn, California last year, but I did resign because it was just too much. When you're a pastor, you have to put together the music and who's going to speak and who's going to usher, and it's just running a church. So I did that last year, but I'm still an ordained minister, but I am not a pastor. I don't run a church. I just had too much on my plate. And
you said you were an ordained minister. I read somewhere about.
I am an ordained minister.
I read about priests. What true priest is versus some of the problems priests are having today. And it said a priest, in the true sense, is a mediator to God. And I was wondering, in your mind, if the priest truly is a mediator, is there a relationship between a priest as a mediator and a person as a medium? Is there like a relationship between those kind of roles?
Okay, now I am a spiritualist, and in a spiritualist church, there's a part of the service, we pray, we sing, we do everything that goes on in just about every church. The only thing that is different about a spiritualist church is that we do demonstrations. At the end, you have about 20 minutes where mediums get up on the platform and they give you messages. And the idea of the messages are to prove to you that life goes on. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna go in and say, I have this person, and they act like this, and they crossed over like that, and this is a message that I get for you. And they'll go to somebody else, and what they're doing, the objective to that is not getting a reading, but it's to prove to you that your loved ones are there, so that it proves to you that when you cross over, you're gonna continue to exist. Now, so that's what the medium does. It's not about, the medium is not, now I'm a certified medium, but that's something else besides being an ordained minister. Now, as far as being an ordained minister, you do, you perform weddings, funerals, you do the ceremonies for funerals, you do christenings and that kind of thing, and you also assist a pastor that runs the church. Now, so the pastor is the one that puts the music together, and everything that has to do with the church that does not have to do with money. You have the board of directors that takes care of all the money that, we need chairs, or we need flowers, or we need some people to come clean the church, and the board is going to do that. The pastor pays attention to your needs, the music, what the lecture's going to be on, and that kind of thing. Now, as far as I felt like I got closer to God as I was when I was ordained. I feel like I know in my heart that when I pray, that I put my word out, that I'm heard. But I feel that's also part of connecting with spirit, because when you connect with spirit, you're talking to a higher level of energy. You're tapping into a different place. Now, so I know that I'm heard because I ask for things and they manifest, and that's something that I want to talk to you about today. Okay, now, when you grow up, from conception to the age of 4, it's been scientifically proven that you are hardwired at that point of what it is that you're learning. Because you're not saying, like Mom will say, this is this, and you take that in. Or somebody else tells you this works like that, and you take that in. At that point, from conception to 4, you're just a sponge. You're not saying, oh, that's a lie, or you're not saying, I could use that for this, because you don't have all of that in you. So everything that's happening to you from the age of conception to 4, you're just like, okay. So there's Santa Claus and just all kinds of stuff. So whatever Mom and Dad and siblings and everybody says to you, you believe that. Then when you get to be 5 on to about a few years later, you start saying, okay, well, what about this, and what about that, and why. You get that, well, why, and then you answer and you get another why, because they want to know, at that point they're just like, why, now they're questioning, is that true, or this doesn't work with that. So at that point, you've got some hardwiring that you can still do to that child. If you grew up and they're telling you that someone loves you, and that you're going to do great in life, and that you're smart, and you're going to believe that, and your mind's very powerful, and you're going to be that way. If you were in a situation where your parents were fighting when you were being conceived, and then that you were ignored, and that you were not well loved, then when you grow up and through those years, that's hardwired within you, and you are like, well, I'm stupid because they said I was stupid, and they don't love me, and I was always a problem, and they separated, and it was my fault, and and all of that gets hard. And see, all of that's not true. It's just what you got hardwired with. So then you grow up, and then you're like, okay, I want to make a better life for myself, so I'm going to do affirmations. And so you start looking at yourself in the mirror and saying words and writing them down. And what you're doing, you're trying to, all of that stuff that was hardwired within you, you're trying to change it. But what I'm finding is that, yeah, you can do that, but it takes a long time. Instead of, or incorporating, you can ask Spirit to help you out. Say, you know what? I am feeling someone around me, and you know, that mom's around me, or grandma, or I don't know who that spirit is, but I feel someone around me and it feels good. You know, just embrace that and say, okay, well, I got a spirit around me, and I want this job, or I want a better job, or I want a car, or I want more money, or whatever it is that your affirmation would be that you want. Ask that spirit, I say, you know, if you're gonna hang around me, why don't you bring that into my life? And so then you got them working for you. And you don't have to sit there and convince yourself that you're going to make more money, or that you're going to be smarter, or that you're not stupid because you were growing up and somebody put that in your head. So you can use this to help yourself every day. It's not just about that you're going to talk to someone that's crossed over and that they're just going to be around you. They want to help you. You know, when they help you, that they put you in the right place at the right time, they did a good deed. They've done something, so they got a brownie point. Wherever they are, they're gonna do better because they did something good. But then again, you got something out of it too. You got to be happy, or you got whatever it was that you wanted. So it's a win-win situation. So don't be like, but what if I'm bothering them? What if they're busy and I'm bothering them? You know what? They have free will just like you do. So if they don't want to be bothered with you, they're not going to come through. They're not going to be. You're not going to be feeling them. They're not going to be around you. They're going to be around somebody else. They're going to do whatever they want. When you cross over, when you leave your body, and that you're still who you are. You still have your personality. You still are the same as you were. The only thing is you don't have that body that is trying to make you forget that you drive it, that it doesn't drive you. But the thing about it is your body gets hungry, and your body, so it's very demanding. You know, it gets hungry, and it has to have a house around it, it has to have clothes, and then you get it all fixed up, and then of course you go ahead and have some kids, and then you have to take care of their bodies. So what happens is you get very, very tied into the physical, and you forget the power that you really have within yourself, and how your thoughts, that your intelligence, how powerful that is, how it can heal you. And that your intelligence does not go away, that it stays with you, that the people that you love, that emotion, you always have with you, always. When you leave your body, it'll just keep on going. You just continue going. Just a minute. I'll have you ask some questions here towards the end. But it just, so if you get to the point to where you're like, getting to a point of enlightenment and all of that, then you have someone else to detour you, because you'll have a child or a grandchild or some you know, and so there's always some kind of responsibility. But I really feel that right now we've come to a time that we really need to pay attention to who we are, who we really, really are, because of the era that we're coming to. There are more and more people that are crossing over that are such a young age, and I feel, and I have been told by Spirit, that these are people that are needed. These are spirits that are needed on the other side. So you may sit around and say, but this person was too young to go. You know, why did my son cross over, and I should have gone first? It just doesn't make any sense. And it's because they're needed on the other side because of what's coming up. So it's really our job to do our part here, instead of looking at them saying, well, they crossed over and I don't know what's going on, I feel them around me. And, you know, you learn all that you can so you can assist. Okay? Have any of you tapped into Spirit? You want to give it a try? Can I take you through a little meditation?
Sure.
Before I do this, though, I want you to know that meditation does not hook you up with spirit. It does not. Meditation does not give you a connection with spirit. What's going to give you a connection with spirit is the time that I leave you in the quiet. And so I'm going to do that during that meditation. So I'm going to be talking to you, and I want you to follow along, and then I'm going to leave you in the quiet for a couple of minutes. We'll just do 2 minutes. And during that time is when I want you to not think of anything. If you do think of something, I want you to set it aside and just say, like if you're thinking, oh, I gotta go to the grocery store, say, okay, I gotta go to the grocery store and I'll do that later. Right now, I'm gonna do this, okay? And then, but acknowledge it, and then go back to getting into the quiet. I hope you guys can hear me.
It's very affirmative.
And he's dead.
Okay, so, and then also I'm going to tell you that there's a door, and I don't want you to open the door until I say open the door. When I say now, okay? When I say now, you open the door. Also, I want each one of you to be in control. You're gonna be in control. Everything is gonna happen the way you say, okay? And just follow along, and then I'll get some feedback from you and see who made a connection and who didn't. I want your feet on the floor, and I want your hands uncrossed. If you're ever in a place and it feels negative, or someone is really, really ripping into you and you do not want that energy, you can cross your legs, you can cross your hands, and you will stop that. They won't be able to get to you because you're shutting down. During this session, this little exercise, I want you to open, okay? Okay, everybody just relax, feet flat on the floor, and I want you to just shut your eyes. And I want you to start visualizing in your mind's eye, visualize a room. I want you to look at the walls and place some color out there, the floor. Some carpet or wood, whatever you like. Start putting furniture in there. I want you to create a seating area. Adjust that thermostat, make it very comfortable. Bring in your stones, your flowers, your incense, your candles, whatever you like. Just relax in your room. Feels so good. Look around, make sure everything is in its place. In your mind's eye, I want you to look up to the ceiling. There's a door. Look up to the door, and there are spirits behind that door. When I tell you, I want you to open up the door, and I want you to let one spirit in. Don't let them in yet. Just relax. Relax. Open the door. Now. I want you to ask who it is. Open the door. Let one spirit in. Now. Open the door. Let one spirit in. Now. to the seating area and visit. I'll let you do that for a couple minutes. I want you to thank them for coming and say goodbye. Thank them for coming and say goodbye. Come back to this room and open your eyes. Thank them for coming and say goodbye. And open your eyes. Thank him for coming and say goodbye. Okay. How many of you made a connection and you who came through, you actually sat a spirit on in your seating area? Stand up. How many of these people that are standing up ever made a connection before? Everybody that has not, that this is your first time, I want you to sit down. So you've made a connection before? Okay, everybody sit down. How many of you just sat there and did not make a connection at all? You just maybe saw color, or you were in the dark, or, okay, so we had a few. Okay, you're at the very beginning, okay? Some people will just see color, or just sit and see the back of their eyelids, and then after that you may see. It's a little hard to visualize, but then you'll go to the next level and the next level. So those of you that stood up did really, really well. You're over the top. You've made a connection. How many of you knew? Raise your hand. Of the people that made a connection, how many of you knew who it was that came through? Good. And you talked to them? How many of you talked to them? Who would like to share what happened to them? Okay. Who did you tune into?
My mom.
Your mom? Your mom came through?
Yeah.
And did your mom look like herself, or was she just light, or how did she look?
I felt her presence.
You felt her
But I knew
presence?
she was there.
Okay, so he knew by feeling her. Okay, so you didn't see her, you felt her, and
Yes.
you knew it was her. You know, isn't it funny that you know how she feels? You will do that. You'll know the feeling of that person.
The presence I felt was just like she used to feel weeks or months before she died. It's
Okay.
that same feeling I had this time.
Okay, did she talk to you?
Yes.
Did you talk with your mouth and words or mind to mind?
I felt like I was asking her words, whether it came from her mouth or mind, I didn't distinguish.
Did you hear?
No, I learned the answers, but I don't think I physically heard it.
So you were like, you just knew the answers? So he was doing mind to mind, like a telepathy type. You were talking to your mom but some of you will hear and some of you are it'll be like a mind to mind unknown. Some of you are gonna see, some of you are just gonna feel like what he just did. And did it feel good? Amazing, it feels amazing. So he didn't feel sad and felt like crying because he wasn't, because she's not here. I know we want our people here. We want them here because it's just better. That's the way we are. We're physical. But it felt amazing during that time that you were with her and talking to her.
I felt her goodness that I always knew was there, but I felt it in a stronger, surer way this time.
Isn't that awesome? So this is not just all about, did you tell her, did she seem to know what you were doing?
I asked her important questions about my life right now and my relationship.
And do you know how long you guys were in this? How long did you feel like you talked to her?
It felt like enough time, where it was.
I gave you guys less than 2 minutes.
I was amazed how quickly we started communicating.
Less than 2 minutes, and that connection was made.
It's like she was just waiting for me to finally talk.
Now, when you are going to make a connection with spirit, with those that have crossed over, or with any kind of higher intelligence, it's a good idea to make an appointment because they will show up. And that makes it easier for you because you're over there trying to get into the quiet and you're maybe lighting your candles or gathering your rocks or preparing, and then you got to sit there and you feel like you got to meditate and all of this stuff. But the main thing that you really need to do is just get out of the way. You just got, remember how I left you in the quiet? I didn't say anything. At that point, I was not taking you through a meditation. You were not meditating. I just left you on your own and I was quiet. And during that quiet time is when you make those connections. And that's what you did. That's what you've got to embrace. That's when you make the connection. Not when you're running colors, the blue and red and green and all that. What are you doing when you're running colors? You're using your brain. And your brain cannot be there and be in the way. So you just got to get out of the way, stop thinking. And if you're distracted, then you got to go to the store or something, say, acknowledge it, because it's not going to go away unless you acknowledge it and say, go away, and just get back in that mode of not thinking. And you will make a connection. Okay? And a good thing to do when you're doing this is to say, what's going to happen next week? Before you snap out of it, just say, what is going to happen next week? And it doesn't have to be knock your socks off kind of a thing, just something that they tell you. And then when that happens, you're like, yes, I made that connection, okay? And the reason I tell you, say, what's going to happen, like next week, because you don't want to wait 2 years to find out that you made a connection, okay? So do a timeline like that, so that you know what you have done. I thank you all for coming, and this was just a very short lecture. I do workshops and they last longer. I am putting a book together to where you guys can use to make connections on your own, everything that I've been learning over the last 17 years. There are classes that you can go to, seminars, books that you can buy. I am going to